Come on and get in.
Hey there, welcome to Michael on the Go, Catholic Family Man Edition, Gospel Reflections. So today we have a short gospel reading for Mass, and it's for Thursday, July 18th. And in today's reading, we find the following, and it comes to us from Matthew 11, 28 through 30. And it says, Jesus said, "Come to me, all you who labor and are burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am meek and humble of heart, and you will find rest for yourselves. For my yoke is easy and my burden light." You know, reading that, a lot of times people, they can get confused and they think, you know, what is Christ talking about? To take on a yoke. You know, if you think about a yoke, an ox, right? A yoke is made so that for oxen or mules, whatever the team, you put it on them, and it harnesses them for pulling farm equipment, right? For tilling fields and conducting labor. So the image of a yoke, which would have been very familiar to the Jews of Jesus' time, and you know, right up till today, I live near Amish country, and I can go still see, you know, oxen stuff in a yoke tilling the fields. So this idea of taking on the yoke, it invokes thoughts of labor and straining and stress. But Christ says, you know, you who are burdened, take on my yoke. And it's one of those paradoxes of the Christian faith, that it's in the taking on of the burden of Christ, of our faith, and living it, that in fact we're freed and find true rest. You know, if you think about, there's two things that come to mind when I think about the reading. You know, first of all, if you've ever gone, like for years, I was afraid of roller coasters. I feared them. I had a thing with heights. And I finally made the plunge down in Florida at it was Universal Parks, and they had this thing, Double Dragons. It's one of those ones you get in, it comes and your feet hang. And I found when I gave myself over that in fact, instead of being afraid and just let go, and I took the step, and I just let go, that in fact it was the most fun I'd ever had on a ride at an amusement park. So it was by stepping through and pushing through the fear and doing that which I so resisted, that in fact I was free to have a lot more fun. And now I love going to amusement parks and riding the roller coasters. And so it is with Christ and his yoke. When we think about living the Christian faith, you know, there's a lot of great writers, Chesterton, C.S. Lewis, and others, who talk about the fact that, you know what, if you want, you know, Chesterton talks a lot about this, you know, that if you want an easy way to just kind of skate through life and all, don't be Catholic, because it's not easy. There is a lot of the work that goes into it. Yes, we are saved by faith, but we work through our faith, you know, in fear and trembling, as it were, right? That we are we're taking on this onus that goes so much against the world, right? That we're being bombarded from TV, radio, friends, family, acquaintances, work, that contradict our faith, and we have a daily fight. It says, take on the armor of God. So the prospect of that for many can be fearful, like me going to the roller coaster, right? So we need to, and the thought of taking on the yoke, I'm going to take on this burden, can be intimidating, and people might shy back from that, which is why a lot of times we see this watered down, wishy-washy, you know, it's Jesus is just about love. It's about this lovey, nebulous feeling that has no consequences. But Christ says there's consequences, and he says, take on my yoke. Yes, it is a burden, but there's another image that comes to mind. You know, we're already yoked in the course of life. We are made to live in the image and likeness of God, and we live in an imperfect world that goes against that puts its yoke upon us. You think about today, all the unwanted pregnancies, depression is rampant, suicides and all these things that indicate a world that is continually moving forward in affluence and technology and all these things, yet it seems we're more unhappy than ever as a people, emptier and all these things, because we've taken on the yoke of this world, knowingly or not, and we're helping to perpetuate and drive and till the fields of this world, but it goes against what we're made to be. And Christ is saying, take on my yoke. You don't wear two yokes at once, right? If you have an ox and it's under a yoke for one set of work, but you want to now have it do something else, you put on a different yoke. And Christ says, take on my yoke, for my yoke is easy and my burden's light. Because in fact, when we take that on, we're this, thinking of the beast of burden, right? That's what we were born for. We were not born for the yoke of this world, which will inevitably leave us frustrated, empty, seeking all these things, thrill after thrill, and ways to try to fill the voids in our life. But it's only Christ that can fill that. And when we take on the yoke of Christ, we're now assuming that which we were born for, which we were made for, which fits us. And in fact, it's by stepping through that we will find peace and true rest. Mother Teresa talked about the fact that in her giving, she found the more that she gave, the paradox was the more that she gave of herself, died to self, right? We diminished so that Christ can increase. The more that she diminished, the more that she gave out of herself, the more she was fulfilled, because in the end, all that was left when you empty yourself is love, is true love, which is Christ, which is God, who is love. So take on the yokes. Pray, today, as you're going forward in the day, as my prayer for myself, or my prayer for you, and just something to reflect on, think about how are you resisting taking off the yoke of this world, because I like watching this and I like listening to that, and those things that are yoking you, keeping you burdened by the things of this world that are keeping you from what God calls you to. And instead, think about how you pray for God to give you the strength, the insight to take on his yoke. With that, this is Michael on the Go, Catholic Family Edition. Just praying that you have a blessed day and that you take up the yoke of Christ. God bless and peace.